In the dead of night, while the world sleeps in the warm, artificial comfort of rising stock prices, one man remains wide awake. Dr. Michael Burry. He doesn't just look at numbers. He listens to the structural cracks in the global economy, cracks that remain silent to the masses until the very moment of collapse. Imagine a man sitting alone in a dark office, surrounded by the hum of servers and the cold blue light of monitors. This is not a trader looking for a quick profit. This is a doctor performing a clinical autopsy on a dying financial system. He sees the infection spreading through the veins of Wall Street, while everyone else is still celebrating the fever as if it were a sign of health. Most know him from The Big Short, the eccentric genius with a glass eye who bet against the world in 2008 and won a legendary victory. But for Burry, that victory was never a celebration. It was a curse. He is the modern-day Cassandra, the figure from Greek mythology gifted with the power of prophecy, but condemned never to be believed by those he tries to save. To see the truth while the world is blinded by greed is not a gift. It is a heavy, isolating burden. His glass eye doesn't see the surface of the charts. It stares directly into the mathematical inevitability of the crash. He knows that being right too early is often the same as being wrong, yet he cannot look away from the truth. By 2026, the man who once shouted urgent warnings on social media has vanished into a chilling, calculated silence. His accounts are deleted. His office is quiet. His voice is gone. But in the volatile world of high finance, Michael Burry's silence is far more terrifying than any tweet. It is a siren. It is the final signal that the everything bubble he predicted is no longer a forecast. It is an imminent reality. He has stopped warning the world because he knows the time for warnings has passed. He is no longer watching the markets. He is watching the end of an era. The stage is set. The tragedy is written. And as the clock ticks toward the Great Reset, his silence is the only truth left. The everything bubble. This is the term Burry uses to describe the house of cards we inhabit today. It's not just housing or tech or crypto. It is everything, everywhere. The culprit is hiding in plain sight, the massive, blind flood of passive investing. Millions of investors are pouring trillions into index funds, believing they have found a safe haven for their future. But Burry sees the fatal trap. He warns that when everyone buys the same basket of stocks regardless of their actual value, price discovery dies. The market stops being a rational system and becomes a blind machine with no brakes. It is like a crowded theater where the audience keeps growing, but the exit door remains the same tiny size. Everyone feels safe while the music is playing, but Burry is watching the hinges of that door. He knows that when the music finally stops, the rush will be fatal. Liquidity is the ultimate ghost of the modern financial world. It is there in abundance while the markets are rising, but it vanishes precisely when you need it most. Burry warns that the massive growth of passive index funds has created a dangerous illusion of safety. In a normal market, human buyers and sellers negotiate a price. But in the index bubble, the machines simply buy because the money is flowing in. When the sentiment shifts and the panic of 2026 finally begins, that flow will reverse. Thousands of algorithms will attempt to sell the exact same stocks at the exact same millisecond, but they will find no one on the other side of the trade. The price won't just drop, it will gap down into a bottomless vacuum. This is the structural nightmare Burry sees. There will be no buyers, only a desperate, suffocating crowd realizing too late that the door is locked from the outside. As the digital house of cards begins to tremble, Michael Burry does not seek shelter in the traditional safe havens of Wall Street. He is not betting on the next tech revolution, nor is he chasing the latest speculative trend. Instead, he is moving toward the very foundations of human existence. He is shifting his capital into what he calls tangible assets, the things the world cannot survive without, no matter how low the stock market falls. Water, farmland, food. While the masses were distracted by the phantom gains of crypto and AI, the man who predicted the Big Short was quietly securing the most ancient commodities on Earth. His philosophy is chillingly simple. In a total financial reset, you cannot drink a bank statement. You cannot eat an algorithm. Burry is betting on a world where physical reality is the only currency that remains. He isn't just preparing for a crash. He is preparing for a world where the system itself has failed. In the world of the 2026 reset, gold is not an investment. It is the ultimate insurance policy. Burry understands that our current financial system is built on a foundation of faith. Faith in central banks, faith in governments, and faith in a currency that is printed out of thin air. But what happens when that faith is broken? When the digital illusions vanish, the world returns to the only thing that has held its value for 5,000 years. Burry's shift toward physical gold and silver is a silent vote of no confidence in a US dollar. He is preparing for a reality where the global reserve currency loses its throne. To the crowd, gold is a pet rock, a relic of the past. But to the man who sees the structural collapse of the debt cycle, gold is the only lifeboat left when the tidal wave of inflation finally hits the shore. It is the final NO to a system built on lies. Beyond gold, Burry is looking at the very soil beneath our feet. He has been quietly acquiring thousands of acres of productive farmland, specifically focusing on areas with guaranteed water rights. Why would a hedge fund genius become a farmer? Because in a world of 8 billion people, the demand for calories is the only trend that never goes down. While Silicon Valley was burning billions on virtual reality, Burry was betting on the most physical reality of all, the ability to feed a hungry world. Farmland is the ultimate productive asset. It cannot be inflated away, it cannot be deleted by a hacker, and it cannot be replaced by an AI. It is a finite resource in an infinite debt cycle. Burry's investment in land is a long-term hedge against the fragility of our global supply chains and the coming scarcity of the mid-2020s. He is buying the future of survival itself. Everything is now converging toward the year 2026. This isn't just a random date. It is the mathematical ceiling where global debt finally becomes unsustainable. Interest rates, inflation, and social unrest are forming a perfect storm that even the most powerful central banks can no longer control. Burry's silence during this period is a deliberate choice. He has laid his tracks, he has placed his bets, and now he is simply waiting for the inevitable logic of history to play out. The tension in the air is palpable. You can feel it in the grocery stores, in the housing market, and in the growing disconnect between the elite and the working class. The 2026 reset is the moment when the bill finally comes due for 30 years of financial excess. The countdown has moved from years to months to days. The world is about to face a reality it has spent decades trying to ignore. Minute 10, the reckoning. In 2026, the moment of reckoning finally arrives. The massive, distorted, everything bubble that Michael Burry warned of can no longer sustain its own weight. It snaps. This is not a mere market correction. It is a total, violent deconstruction of the very concept of wealth as we knew it. As the panicked masses scramble for exits that offer no liquidity, the digital screens that once displayed record highs now dissolve into a terrifying sea of red. The silence that follows is chilling. Those who once mocked Burry as a broken clock now search his quiet gaze for answers. But Cassandra offers no more words. The time for warning has passed, and the time for consequences has begun. The paper wealth of a generation evaporates, leaving behind only the cold, mathematical truth Burry saw a decade ago. Minute 11. The Lone Survivor's Code. Michael Burry did not win this battle through mathematics alone. He won because he possessed the one thing the modern world has lost, the courage to be alone. He rejected this sweet narcotic of consensus, that dangerous comfort of following the crowd into the abyss. Burry's long periods of silence were his final message to us, a demand that we find our own answers instead of following the herd. He built a fortress of information while the world built a house of cards. To survive the coming era, you must learn to see with your own eyes and think with your own mind. You must be willing to run in the opposite direction of the masses, even when the world calls you crazy. In the debris of the old system, only the independent individual can find true value. Minute 12, the new dawn. The Great Reset is not a signal of the end. It is a beginning. It is the birth of a new world where only genuine, tangible value survives the collapse of the digital illusion. As the deceptive rule of algorithms fades, what remains is the reality in your hands: water, land, and the knowledge that no one can take from you. Michael Burry's lonely crusade was never about fear. It was a call to prepare for this very moment. After the storm, the air clears, and the hidden truths become visible to everyone. The question is no longer whether Burry was right. The question is, are you ready? Will you sink with the crowd, or witness the new dawn with the clarity of Cassandra? The storm is here. The reset has already begun. Now, it's your turn.